Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that helps you become your best self, and today we are talking about 7 false beliefs we have about our emotions. But before we get into that, as always, I want to invite you to come say hi to me on social media. Please come say hi on TikTok or Instagram. I'm at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. If you look in the show notes below, it'll help you know how to spell that if you don't know, because my last name is a little bit difficult. I thank my husband for that because it's his last name. So anyway, come say hi to me on socials. Also, check the show notes below to see how you can sign up for the weekly newsletter that comes out every Wednesday evening, like 6, 7 PST. And I share, some deeper thoughts, some things that I would normally just talk about in therapy. And, I'm really open and vulnerable with you guys here. But sometimes I don't talk about things right away here, because I have lots of things to share here. But, sometimes I just let the newsletter crew subscribers hear it first. And so that's what I did this week and then weeks past. So, and you also get updates on when things are going to happen and just behind the scenes kind of things. And so in reminders, it's pretty cool. So go ahead and sign up for that. Also, if you go and check out my Instagram, you will know that, which you can get in the link below. But if you go to my Instagram, you'll notice that right now for the next week, I am offering people to sign up for Christmas cards from me, which I think is super fun. And I understand this will be really confusing if you're listening to this episode well in the future, not during the holiday time. But if you are listening to it when it is being released, please go check out my Instagram because I'm talking about it on stories most days. And there's a link in my bio to hear how you can sign up for a free Christmas card from me. And it's totally free. I just want to send Christmas cards to anyone that likes to get those in the mail with an encouraging message for this holiday time and for the year to come. And there also is an option when you do end up at the form on my website to choose a Christmas card that says Merry Christmas or one that is non-holiday specific that literally just has a snowman on it. So if you don't actually celebrate Christmas, I totally respect that. And you can choose one that is not it. So anyway, check all that out. There's also stuff down there for you to buy the journal that I created as a gift. That's still available. And you can submit topic suggestions for the podcast. You can do all those things. But as usual, I've talked too much here in the beginning. So let's go ahead and jump into our episode, which again is 7 false beliefs we have about our emotions. We're talking emotional growth tips. So have you ever believed something so deeply, so utterly deep, to only find out that it wasn't actually true? I laugh because, we can laugh at our pain that happened in the past, right? That's absolutely true. But yeah, have you ever you just believed something was true? You were told it with so much confidence and belief, and they're yeah, it's true. And you're oh my gosh. And then you find out that's not true. The pain and betrayal of discovering something you knew for so long isn't actually correct can feel heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. You're just what the heck just happened? What just happened? I feel like that's the common question of this season. What just happened? And you'll absolutely ask yourself that question when you're what just happened? And it's annoying. Let's just be honest. It can really suck. It can be annoying. You're just long sigh. Why? Just why? But even after all that, even after knowing that we find out something isn't true, that we've been lied to or just misled or whatever it may be, or if maybe everyone was confused about what was happening, we can transition back and forth between understanding that what we were told was false and now we know the truth, between that and denying that no, there is no possible way that this couldn't be true, right? We can toggle between both of those things because whatever the belief was that we had, it was so deeply ingrained in us that turning our backs on it now seems crazy or absolutely unreal. We're there's no way. There's no way. There's no way that this could be not true, right? Or we're how? How were we duped? How were we tricked? How were we lied to? How were we misled all of this time? It's a range. It's a roller coaster of emotions that we don't necessarily want to be on, right? But when we find out something is not true and have to transition to believing that, oh, wow, this wasn't true. Now we have to think differently about it. Sometimes you just got to do it. sometimes you just got to do it, right? You got to take a step away and widen your perspective, which is something that I suggest us do all of the time, right? But you got to step away and widen your perspective to see that it no longer works for you or was founded in manipulation and gaslighting. Ugh. Or just discover it isn't true, right? You just discover, wow, this isn't true. This is like fallacy. This is all a lie. You're like, oh my gosh, they sit on a throne of lies or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So you just got to take a step back and widen your perspective, and see that, hey, okay, this is where we are. This is our new reality. But despite learning all this, despite learning this and learning the truth and understanding that what you knew before is not what it should have been or what it is now, right? It can still absolutely be incredibly tough to let go of something we know isn't right, but was something that comforted us, right? It comforted us, or something that we use to define like who we are and like what we're all about. There's so many things tied to our beliefs and what we think about ourselves and how we act and how we conduct ourselves, right? It's all like tied together, which is crazy to think about. And if you, again, widen your perspective, you'll be able to see that. And then you're like, oh my gosh, wow, let's reevaluate what we're thinking, what we're believing, where we're going in life, right? Sometimes you'll feel like you're in a crisis mode. So don't go too deeply, take some steps. Take some steps to reevaluate things in your life. But yeah, sometimes it can still be incredibly difficult to let go of this because it's just, we're so attached to it. And letting go of a belief can be really tough, but it's important that we realize that as tough as it also is a really strong and brave thing for you to do. It absolutely is. Think about it. Like, you are changing something that was so important and dynamic in your life and being like, wow, that is no longer true. Now, sometimes, you might be like, Sabrina, you're being a little dramatic. I am. I'm just dramatic. But sometimes it'll be smaller things and it won't really burn you that bad. And you're just like, okay, that's fine. But then other times it'll be this really, really, really big deal that we have to face and deal with. And it's like, oh man, this is just so tough. But again, most of the tough things that we go through really equate to us being able to deal with strong things and be brave. And it's also a sign of mental and emotional growth. It really is. You are realizing that what you believed before is something to move on from, and there is something better. And knowing that there is an end to something and realizing it and accepting it and honoring that is emotional growth and mental growth. And just knowing that something's better and having that hope and belief and to push your way forward, amazing growth, amazing sign of growth. Okay. So just pat yourself on the back and be like, yay, high five me. This was growth. I'm excited. So, but I want you to know that before I talk about what we're actually going to get into, the nitty-gritty of the show, I want you to know that I'm not going to get into the idea of moving on from beliefs that actually are good and true for us. It's not where I'm going today, right? I'm not going to talk about what is actually good and true for us, but that we end up losing faith and true belief in those things. That will happen, right? That will happen. We will go astray. We will, wander a little bit, right? In whatever it is. And we will make our way back to those things. And that's it, right? It's, I don't really want to talk about it because it's a personal journey with lots of different experiences and reasons and, well, unfortunately, sometimes excuses. And it also has nothing to do with what I'm going to share with you today, because I'm talking explicitly about, how we think about and feel about emotions and things that carry those beliefs that are tied to that to carry us day to day. And you know what? Maybe someday we'll talk about moving on from beliefs that actually are beneficial to us and understanding that that also is a journey that a lot of us go on. Maybe we don't even realize it. We don't categorize it that way, but that can be helpful for us to rediscovering ourselves, understanding ourselves better, and then so many other things. But I just wanted to point that out that I'm not going into depth about that, just in case you're like, well, what about this? We're just not talking about that today. Today, we are going to chat about false beliefs we have in regards to our emotional growth and our emotional health in general. So this means that, the things that we believe are true about our emotional health, but actually aren't. It's just these false beliefs that we will hold and we will use to guide us in life and go day to day, and that are actually false and not true. And I'm going to give you a list of false beliefs we have about our emotions and then help you understand why that is false. It's very true and classic to how I provide advice and tips on this show. And so it's good to know if you knew. And you may disagree with me on some of these. Good. I hope you do, right? It's like if you disagree, it means you are critically thinking about what is true for you and your life. You are actually questioning it. You're like, I don't know, maybe. And I think that's good. I encourage you to do your own research and figure out what is best for you. But this is the knowledge I have found to be true, which leads me into the thing that I have to say every single time, is that the tips and advice I'm about to give you is based on my own knowledge and research and my personal experience and the experiences of others that I am allowed to share with you. If you find that what I'm about to tell you does not align with who you are and what you're all about, please, I encourage you to seek a therapist or a counselor to have that one-on-one opportunity to really figure out what aligns best with you and will help you the most. Or you can go ahead and check out our best friend Google and type in false beliefs about our emotions and do your own research and figure it out for yourself. I encourage you to do that. Right? I'm not here to tell you exactly what you have to do and that my way is the highway. Absolutely not. I encourage research and of your own doing and understanding what you're deciding to tie your life to, especially in regards to beliefs, because those are the core values of life that will lead us through so many different decisions and issues and problems and the journeys that we are on in life. So it's important that you understand what you are agreeing and believing in and living your life by, right? Right? Okay, awesome. So here are 7 false beliefs we have about our emotions. Number 1, I need external validation to know I am doing my best. I need external validation to know I am doing my best. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can self-validate and still feel confident in yourself and not feel lost without the input of someone else. Validation is tricky because you'll read lots of sources where talk about how validation is okay. And I think that in a very small, moderation, external validation, which means validation from other people, is fine and it's great and it can be helpful in certain situations. However, generally when I'm talking about external validation, I'm talking about you needing it all day, every day. You need the validation every time you do something, every time you accomplish something or go through a success, or you do something where you feel good about it, but you need someone else to validate the fact that you can feel good about it. You did a good enough job to feel good about it, and they have to co-sign on everything you do. Right? So I'm talking about it at an extreme level. A lot of times when you're a people pleaser, you need it. You feel like it's running through your veins, the need and desire for external validation. But you don't need that. You can self-validate. Now, again, there are times where someone else provides you validation that is so helpful, especially when you're starting something new. And that validation can help you lead through the rest of everything that's happening in your life and help you develop your own self-validation and continue to be confident in what you're doing. But you got that validation from the jump from someone else, and then that helped you build off on your own validation. Does that make sense? So you don't need external validation to know that you're doing your best. You just need to believe that you are doing your best and continue to do so. And then you will see the fruits of your labor. You will see the fruits of your labor. My goodness. You will see the fruits of your labor, and then you will understand that you are doing a good job, because you will get that external validation, those kudos, those good jobs, you're doing awesome. And that should just continue to feed into you telling yourself those things. And then when you don't have the opportunity to be around people to provide external validation to you, you can do it for yourself, and then do it for yourself even when they're around, because you don't always need it from someone else. Okay? I need external validation to know I'm doing my best. No, you don't. Number two is boundaries are selfish. I hear this a lot. I remember there was a time, not that long ago, earlier this year though, I don't know when, probably within the last 6 months, where I posted something online talking about boundaries. And someone came at me online, which, you know what, I actually welcome. Like if people want to say like negative things to me, I welcome that as long as it's not like, prejudice or racially motivated, which that happened recently. But if they want to say something that it disagrees with what I'm talking about, I welcome it because one, it means that people are actually like, caring enough to say something, which really is indicative of like how passionate and how much they believe that thing. Very good. It's awesome. But also gives me an opportunity to find a better way to explain and express what I'm talking about, teach it better, break it down a little bit better if there was some confusion, right? And so I remember someone being like, no, boundaries are selfish and we need to put everyone before ourselves. And that's what like everyone wants and needs and should be doing in our life and our community would better. And I was just like, I'm sorry, but it's not. It's absolutely not true. Because if you continue to do that and put ourselves last and then burn ourselves out, then how are we going to be good to anyone else? Right? But also when you believe that boundaries are selfish, boundaries feel selfish because other people who, by the way, are trying to take advantage of you most of the time. Boundaries feel selfish because other people tell you it's selfish to keep that controlled access to you. They will tell you that lie because it benefits them in the best way so that you don't take away their access. Their all access pass to who you are and what you're all about. They don't want that. So they're going to be like, oh no, boundaries are selfish. And then they'll come up with some bullcrap way of telling you that they don't have boundaries either when they probably do. And so it's like equal and like, oh yeah, you see how I don't have them? You don't need them, right? And it's just really this whole manipulation thing. So boundaries are not selfish, but sometimes people will convince you that they are. Boundaries can also feel selfish to you if you struggle with being a people pleaser, right? You lack boundaries to do everything for everyone else because you can't have boundaries when you're trying to please everyone to the utmost. Believe me, I'm a recovering people pleaser. I do know. While, not having boundaries so that you can do everything for everyone else, this is happening while you're slowly chipping away at who you are and were meant to become. You kind of become like a shell of a person, like a shadow, ghost, phantasma. And it sucks. It sucks. I say all the time, I say it in jest, but in reality, recovering people pleaser, took so long to realize that I was a shell of a person and I lost so much joy and understanding of who I was because I was putting people in front of me constantly and not having any boundaries and not having the opportunity to understand myself better and grow in who I am and who I was meant to be, as opposed to being who everyone else wanted me to be to better please them. You know what I mean? So you got to be aware. You got to understand that boundaries are not selfish at all. Like not even in the slightest. The people that are not benefiting from you having boundaries will try to guilt you and shame you into not having them and gaslight you into thinking that's not necessary. And then you can feel like boundaries are selfish because it takes away from your ability to people please, which is a good thing. We need to step away from that behavior and mindset. Okay, number 3. If I'm not positive all the time, I won't have a good life. If I'm not positive all the time, I won't have a good life. This one frustrates me a ton because I recently had a conversation with someone about this and I was just like, they have expectations that people need to be happy all the time. And if they aren't happy, like if they're just like neutral, which I'm here to be the neutral cheerleader. I'm like, if you want to be neutral in life, go ahead. Please do. It's better than being like in your pit of despair, right? Right. But I was talking to them and they were like, you should just be happy. And then when you're happy, then people know that you're having a good life. And then you know that you're having a good life. And I'm just like, I call BS on that. Like, that's not true. It's like, you don't have to be positive all the time to have a good life. It's so annoying. It's so annoying that people think being happy and positive is the end all be all of life because it's not. I promise you, we all need to drop the expectation that happiness is like the ultimate goal of life. I think our goal in life should be like whatever our goals are and to feel fulfilled and content with where we are and how we're growing and how we're pushing through those struggles and those issues that crop up from whatever season of life we are currently in, right? So we need to drop the expectation that happiness is the ultimate goal and that if we are without it, we're like doomed. We are not, we aren't. Life is full of lots of pleasantries and happy things, but also struggles and really tough times. Sometimes at the same time. I've definitely had times where I'm like really happy about something, but also super upset or disappointed about something. Same time. And, as we push forward in our lives, we learn how to flex and adapt and grow through everything that we're going through. And there will be a good amount of like anger and sadness and disappointment, but also joy and laughter and contentment and fulfillment, right? So happiness all day, every day is not realistic. It's not even possible. If you are telling yourself that it's possible, or you say that you are doing, you're lying to yourself because deep down inside, I know that you're probably faking it a good portion of the time. If you disagree with me, great. I want you to let me know. I want you to send me an email. I want you to send me a DM on socials. I want you to tell me how I'm wrong. And I genuinely mean this because I want to understand like why you think that way and to better understand it and see it from a different perspective, right? I honor that. I encourage that. Okay, number 4. How people behave towards me is how they feel about me. How people behave toward me is how they feel about me. It's not true. It's not. I do struggle with this one. Even now, it's tough because if you are, used to allowing yourself to be controlled and run by your emotions first and mindset second, then it can be really easy to fall into this trap, this pitfall. Fall into this pitfall. People are often projecting their own feelings and struggles onto others because they haven't yet figured out like how to work through those things and, find a way forward. That's really the honest truth of what's going on. People are just projecting their feelings onto you. And so you immediately take that as like a direct hit and you're like, oh my gosh, why are they coming at me? They are coming at you because they don't know where else to go. So when someone treats you a certain way, it's really reflective of how they feel about themselves because they're projecting their own feelings. And, thank goodness it's not always about you, right? I know that sounds harsh, but it's a good reminder to have. It's not always about you. It's a lot of times it's about them. And, they might be treating you harshly or being mean or like being really critical and judgmental about certain things and offering opinions that you just don't want or need. But it's because it's really reflective of what they're going through. They're just displacing it onto you because they don't know what to do with it. And that's not fair. It's not fair, but at least know that how they behave is not how they necessarily feel about you. They're just trying to figure out their own ish, and it's tough. It's tough for them. Okay, number 5. Let's give them some grace, right? Because we've all been there. Number 5. I don't need to deal with people that think and believe differently than me. I don't need to deal with people that think and believe differently than me. It's the exact opposite, to be honest. It's the exact opposite. We should really invest in getting to know people that are think differently than us to better understand other viewpoints and like perspectives, right? Absolutely, we should. And it's crazy to think that maybe you don't even realize that you're doing it because you're so zoomed in on the community and the people that you spend time with that you don't even realize that the people that are in your group or in your daily life are not different from you, aren't starkly different or in some sort of way where it's noticeable for you to grow and learn and understand at a different perspective from someone else. We could just get so caught up in where we are and it gets so comfortable in dealing with people that think differently from us and have a different life can feel uncomfortable because you're like so confused as to why they do it that way, but that's just the way that they do it, So, when just because when people are different from you and they present their different thoughts, it shouldn't be this immediate, let's not listen or push it away. Or let's not hang out with you, hang out with them. Just because someone thinks different than us shouldn't be a threat. We shouldn't feel threatened because they're different. We shouldn't feel threatened because they experience something differently. It shouldn't be a threat that for whatever reason they're different, that makes what we believe less or how we live our life less or bad or whatever. Like, that's absolutely not true. It's just not. And we can get caught up in believing that, and it's a false belief, right? And that's what we're talking about today. So we should actually celebrate how different we all are and what we each bring into the world. It's so helpful in learning new things from each other rather than living in fear and disapproval of everyone that's different from us. And that's what a lot of us do. And we don't even realize we're doing it. It's like this subconscious behavior and way of life, when really we should be like, oh my gosh, wow, you do this differently? Okay, cool. Can you tell me why? Can you tell me what influenced you and what makes you feel good? And make sure you're not doing it in a defensive way or attacking. Or if you feel or they feel like you are, just make sure you let them know, hey, I just genuinely want to know. I want to understand. I want to just understand things that are different than me and really be open-minded and understand a different perspective, right? So just be honest about that and really just don't live in fear. Want to learn and understand new things. And it doesn't mean you have to change how you live your life. You just understand other people better. And that's great. It's great. And that's all coming together in a utopian community. That probably won't happen, but would be awesome. Okay, number six. Being alone is a bad thing. Being alone is a bad thing. I used to think this a lot, that being alone was bad. But when I embraced the fact that I actually really enjoy my alone time, it became easier to see that being alone can be the best thing ever. And it's funny because I totally love being alone, and my husband doesn't like being alone. And I love it. So there will be times where he'll go on a business trip and he'll be like, oh my gosh, you're so lonely without me. And I, in the nicest way possible, I'm usually just like, no, no, I wasn't. I'll be like, I missed you because I love you and, you're great. But I loved it. I love the alone time. I love the ability to just be able to just be alone with my thoughts and do whatever I want on my own schedule and not have to consider someone else. And I know that might sound selfish saying it out loud, but it's nice. Nice you can just get a break from having to think about anyone else and just think about yourself. It's nice. And it also helps me to reinforce not being a people pleaser and being like, okay, let's take care of myself, and then realizing how good that feels and being able to reincorporate that in my normal life when I'm not alone all the time and figuring that out. I just love it. Do you love it? Do you love it? I just love it. If you don't love it, I would love for you to share why or what's going on with that, because it's cool to better understand where people are coming from that insight, from that thought. But being alone helps us grow, helps us understand ourselves better and let go of any codependent behaviors and mindsets, because being codependent is not where we want to be. And it's funny enough, someone actually was fighting me on that thought too. They're like, no, codependency is actually really healthy and it's selfish if we're not codependent, and we need to always be there for people and always do things for them and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, we don't. But we don't. And it's important that we find ways out of those kinds of mindsets and behaviors. And we don't always need to be with people. We just don't. It's actually healthy that we don't. And I'm not saying you have to be alone all the time. I just think that all the time you don't have to be with people. Sometimes the best thing is to be alone to see how different you honestly feel. Honestly, I had to throw the word honestly in there, because let's not lie to ourselves. Let's go more than surf the first level deep, more than skin deep on those emotions and feelings that we have. But sometimes the best thing is to be alone, to see how different you honestly feel away from others, right? Because maybe you might find you like yourself more and prefer less distractions and chaos and drama and whatever else certain people in your life bring, that maybe you actually would prefer was cut back, right? You're like, oh, this is alone time. Oh, this feels nice. This feels nice. So being alone is a bad thing, and it's not. It's an amazing thing. We should embrace it. We should not see it as a punishment, but as an opportunity to understand ourselves better and grow and be awesome and have a break sometimes. Okay, number 7, and the last one I have to share with you in regards to false beliefs about your emotions is it's okay to treat others the way they treat me first. It's okay to treat others the way they treat me first. This shouldn't be a game. Shouldn't be a game. I can admit, okay, sometimes pettiness, it's enjoyable. Sometimes it is. Being petty, it's just like, ooh, you want to dig your heels in and just be petty because you feel like they deserve it and this, and they had it coming and blah, 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 right? But it's not the most beneficial response. I'm sure you can admit that. I am believing and knowing that in the same sentence that I just did, uh, admitting that pettiness can feel good, but knowing that it's not the most beneficial response that you could have had in the situation, right? We should be treating others how we would like to be treated. Like, reflect what we want to get that back. That's what we should be doing. And if that doesn't work, then we just need to walk away. That's your only options, okay? You don't want to sit there and try to fix them or convince them to change, blah, blah, blah. Nope. You want to treat them how you would like to be treated. And if that doesn't work, you need to move on. They're not worth the time, the effort, the anguish, the pain. It's just not, okay? So you need to make a decision. Cut your ties. And I'm not saying you have to be forever. Maybe it's just for a moment, for a day, for a week, for some sort of temporary amount of time, or forever, or a long time away. Reevaluate in a couple years. Who knows? But yeah, you need to treat people how you want to be treated, because it's important to remember that no one grows. And of course, we're not thinking about this in the moment that we want to be petty because we just want to scratch that itch, and be able to tell a good story later, right? I know it's tough. But no one grows or changes if we are mirroring their bad behavior, right? No one grows or changes if we are mirroring their bad behavior. You can't be a hypocrite and be like, oh, they're going to say something mean, you say something mean back, and then you're like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this because it's rude and blah, blah, blah. But then here you are, you literally just did the same thing to them that they did to you. No. No one grows or changes if we're mirroring their bad behavior. And we can't very well say what they are doing is wrong and ask them to stop if we were doing the same thing. So it's not okay to treat others the way they treat you first. If it's bad, right? Don't just do the whole eye for an eye thing. Treat them how you would like to be treated and hope that they will catch on and use that as an example moving forward. Or walk away, whichever one helps you best. But you guys, that's all 7. That is all 7 of the false beliefs that we have about our emotions that I want to share with you today and go through and have us better understand. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast and with me, Sabrina, and just being here and listening, downloading, and sharing the show. I encourage you to share the show with anyone that you believe will be helpful, benefit from it, like a particular episode or the whole show together. I appreciate you doing anything that you do because the show is so important to me to help as many people as possible all of the time. But until next time, have a good one. Check the show notes below. Sign up for the newsletter, buy a journal, come sign up for free Christmas cards and all the things. And come say hi to me on socials. But until next time, have a good one and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.